We all knew it the moment the estimates for the second weekend drop-off were in, and now even the trades are reluctantly admitting it. The latest Disney and Marvel outing is a flop. Let's see how the trades that were rooting for Fantastic Four over Superman are reacting to that. Unlike the estimates for the opening weekend, which were revised too high upwards based on Thursday previews, the second weekend estimates are so far on the money. With Saturday actuals in, Fantastic Four is still estimated to have dropped 66% in its second weekend, which is in the same vicinity as the disaster that was Captain America: Brave New World. Meaning, the movie is going to sink like a rock from here, and end up another money loser for Disney and hype killer for the MCU. Let's see how the industry trades are responding to this. Variety, the publication that tried their damnedest best to manufacture political division over Superman and paint it as woke, and who likes to ask if any given project is the gayest of its kind ever.
The show has been described to me as the gayest Marvel project to date. Do you agree?
That Variety, they wrote in their headline, Fantastic Four craters by 66% in second weekend. That should remove any doubt that this is bad, and their write-up reads, Marvel's first family might not save the day after all. The Fantastic Four First Steps is quickly losing steam in its second weekend, signaling the comic book movie adventure isn't connecting at the box office beyond the film's core demographic of superhero fans. After a healthy $117.6 million debut, the Fantastic Four suffered a hefty 66% drop in its sophomore outing, with $40 million from 4,000 theaters. Heading into the weekend, box office analysts anticipated a decline of 55 to 60% from its opening. By comparison, Superman dropped by 53% in its second weekend after launching to $125 million earlier in July. This painful fall is surprising because the Marvel tentpole has the benefit of positive reviews and word of mouth, as well as a clear runway in terms of competition. Actually, this is not at all surprising to me. On the contrary, I kind of saw it coming, as regular watchers of our live streams will know. Because as I've been pointing out, word of mouth isn't positive so much as it is polarized, and I'm glad Variety brought up Superman after they tried so hard to create controversy around it. Starting with the polarization though, what stood out to me with Fantastic Four is that, like Superman before it, there were highly polarized opinions, even among fans that otherwise largely agree on a great many issues. Like visuals aside, I myself was not impressed with this Fantastic Four, but others whose opinion I greatly respect were, and you can flip that for Superman. And the arguments provided in each case were for the most part all fair and justified, so it's a matter of what you place more emphasis on. However, it would appear that a greater portion of the general audience had more issues with Fantastic Four than they did with Superman, because as Variety acknowledged, Superman has the better hold by far. Variety continues. Although those ticket sales were enough to rank as number 1 on North American charts, the First Steps endured one of the steeper second weekend drops for Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe, better than the Marvels, which was down 78%, but in the company of February's Captain America: Brave New World, down 68%, 2023's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, down 70%, and 2022's Thor: Love and Thunder, down 67%. None of those are considered among the best Marvel movies. On the contrary, they are widely considered to be among the worst, so that does not bode well for the future prospects of either this movie, or in my book, for Avengers Doomsday, if this team has a big role in it. Opinions on that are divided, however. Variety concludes, Fantastic Four is not a top-tier Marvel franchise. Never has been, says analyst Jeff Buck at Exhibitor Relations. Remember, this ramps up into Avengers. That's the real payoff.
You serious, Clark?
I, however, am unconvinced that will be a payoff to write home about, as the upcoming Avengers team will mostly be comprised of the new arrivals from Phase 4 onwards, the very characters that no one really clicked with, as well as the comparatively few returning original characters that were already ruined and replaced by women, and half of the roster will have debuted on Disney+. Moving over to The Hollywood Reporter, they write, Fantastic Four lords over Bad Guys 2, Naked Gun, but suffers sharp decline. That's some spin right there, because the movie was always supposed to lord it over Bad Guys 2 and Naked Gun. If it hadn't, you might as well have cancelled the MCU right there, but it wasn't supposed to have a sharp decline, and it had that. In the byline, it is again pointed out how much better Superman is holding up, while the write-up proper reads, talk about a two-edged sword. Marvel's The Fantastic Four First Steps easily stayed atop the domestic box office chart in its second weekend with 40 million, but tumbled a worrisome 66%. That's more than anyone, at least in the Hollywood trades, could have predicted after the event pick opened to 117.6 million last weekend amid stellar audience and critical reaction. Again, where they saw a stellar audience reaction, I saw a polarized audience reaction, and either way, that's them admitting that this is a really, really bad fall, and there is no good way to spin this. That doesn't stop them from trying though. At the same time, it isn't entirely outside the range of normal for the superhero genre. Which is another way of saying that Marvel has released a lot of garbage that was rejected by the audience these last few years. So hey, at least Fantastic Four is in good company. And then comes the cope. And there's still a clear runway ahead before summer ends. Except Superman is still there, it's holding up much better, and with this drop-off, it won't be too long until Fantastic Four falls below Superman at the daily box office. Deadline Hollywood are also trying to put a positive spin on this though, in their write-up, where they say craters is a big word, as 60 percentile drops are par for the course with superhero films. But we can't deny that this is sharper than Superman's very good 53% second weekend hold. So in other words, it cratered. There's an upside though, for they continue. On the upside, Fantastic Four's first 10 days are pacing 19% ahead of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, that movie ending its stateside run at 214.5 million. So those are the good news. Fantastic Four is doing better than the notorious flop Ant-Man: Quantumania, the movie which first taught Marvel that their internal barometer for what the audience likes and respond to was broken. At least Fantastic Four is doing better than that. So, glass half full? Do you agree this isn't too bad? Or did the female Silver Surfette really herald the end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.